Welcome to Proof Cocktail Bar. My name is Jeff Jamieson, and today we are going to be trying some Mezcal and some Tequila. A little tasting of 3 different types of Mezcal as well as 3 different types of Tequila. I've picked a range of spirits that hopefully will show us a bit of diversity within those spirit groups, as well as be able to give us a chance to talk about the different styles. Okay, we're going to start with tequilas. So the first tequila that we're going to try is Don Julio Blanco. So Don Julio, a very well-known producer. Blanco, a style of tequila which immediately after production go to the bottle. So no age on these tequilas, which means that they tend to be a little rougher around the edges, a little bit more expressive with regards to some of the background fruit notes. Aging, barrel aging, tends to soften all spirits, tequila no exception. And the first thing that you do get is that unmistakable blue agave, almost like white peppery note. Fruit, ripe tropical fruit, almost like mango skin. Yeah, and a little bit citrusy on the palate, you know, getting a little bit of actually kind of grapefruit notes off of this. Or if you like tequila, chances are you've had a Don Julio or a Don Julio product. Excellent price point and very good for mixing. The next one we want to try is next up the line in the known tequila aging statements. So this is a Reposado. Reposados are briefly aged in oak. From a few months to under a year, Reposados just get a little bit of time in the barrel to help soften maybe some of those stronger notes that are in the tequila. This particular Reposado, Clase Azul, is well known amongst aficionados. I get a little bit of that peppery note, and there's a little bit more spice in this one. It's seen a little bit more barrel. Extremely soft. Clase Azul is known for that. This particular tequila just kind of like floats across the palate. Very flight of foot, very drinkable. And that wood spice is not overly done. It's like caramel notes on the finish, and just like maybe a little hint of clovey. Extra Añejo is tequilas that are aged 3 years or greater. The one that would land in between Reposado and Extra Añejo, obviously Añejo, tequilas that are aged from 1 to 3 years. Extras, there's no limit to how long they can be aged. Tears of La Llorona, 3 years in particular for this one. This tequila has gotten quite a bit of press lately. It's a lovely tequila. I had a little bit in there from before. The first thing that you notice is that it's a big tequila. This is not one of those like very soft tequilas that we've been talking about earlier. Jumps right at you. Big caramel notes, lots of wood spice. It's not too much. You still can get some of that background pepperiness that comes from the blue agave. On the palate, you begin to notice some of the deeper flavors that are imparted by both the spirit and the wood. There's tobacco notes, also a little bit of clove. And it's a bit of a hotter tequila than most of the current offerings out there. Tequila these days, very popular for it to become between 35 and 40% alcohol. This one, 43% alcohol. So it's a pretty muscular tequila. It's a great addition to any spirits collection. Been very popular the last few years, very difficult to get, but worth it. We're gonna try Mezcal now. So, Mezcal, the lesser known spirit of Mexico, but that is beginning to change. Mezcal has seen a surge in popularity over the last 10 years. Most of that due to cocktail culture has really adopted Mezcal. Mezcal mixes very well. It's an unaged spirit. There's a number of different types that we're going to try today. First one we're going to try is a mixto. So a mixto is a Mezcal that's made from multiple types of agave plant. This one in particular is made from espadín, which is the most commonly grown agave in Oaxaca, as well as araqueño. It comes from a producer, Alipus. This particular Mezcal and many of Alipus's Mezcals are created by very small artisanal producers or mezcaleros throughout Oaxaca. They go and search out these mezcaleros and attempt to find the best of the best. This particular one, Tío Leonardo, or Don Leonardo as he's very likely known in Oaxaca, was made with those 2 types of agaves that are closest to where he produces from. It's an extremely feral Mezcal on the nose. Mezcal tends to be the more brutish of the 2 spirits, and this one's no exception. That rubbery, smoky, in-your-face, punchy smell that is Mezcal. Many Mezcals are known for. The espadín, which tends to lend a little bit of citrus note, is even though it's 80% of this mix, is fairly hidden here. It's a pretty punchy Mezcal. Doesn't change much on the palate. Very similar. I think the first thing you get is that smoke and that rubber plant, that very like predominant smoke and rubber background with a little bit of creaminess. The next mezcal that we're going to try is from a producer called Bruxo, and this is an espadin. So right on the label, espadin's by far the most predominant agave in Oaxaca. Genetically closest to its sister, the blue agave in Jalisco. Most of the production of mezcal is espadin. This one, the smoke is the predominant initial note. There is some overripe tropical fruit notes on it. Again, smoke is very predominant in this one. It's really lovely and balanced, but it's definitely the first thing that you taste on the palate. But even here in Canada, after all the importation and taxes, this is a very good value mezcal. Producer, El Jorgorio, and it is their Pachuca. So, El Jorgorio, much like Alipus, contracts out to mezcaleros in the area to make their product. All of these producers or mezcaleros use very traditional methods. In some cases, there's no electricity even where they're producing these mezcals. This Pachuca is a ceremonial mezcal created for ceremonies, celebrations in the area in which it's produced in Oaxaca. There are very little rules. Often mixtos, or mixes of different types of agaves, and often there's some sort of animal sacrifice, which they've become known for, which goes along in either the still production of the Pachuca or the pit roasting. On this one, and where it separates itself from the others is that the aroma is fruit forward and very floral compared to the smoke dominant and kind of bruisier ones that we tried before. There's a much more predominant pepper note too in this one. A little bit of vegetal on the palate. Again, a little bit of that celery stalk, but really wonderful, almost banana and mango and tropical fruit. Really elegant, really beautiful mezcal, but also really expensive, so you will pay for it. Worth every single penny. You can tell with artisanal spirits when something has been cared for from the very beginning to the very end of the process. And by tasting these spirits and honoring them, we continue to care for them. That's what I hope I impart to you today. Please go out and support your local mezcal and tequila makers by trying some of these and learning a little bit more about them. You'll be glad that you did.